Hey, it's George Free. Welcome to another Martial Arts Media Business Podcast. I'm with a repeat guest today, Robbie Castellano. How are you, Robbie?
How are you, George? Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
Cool. I think if we keep this up, like I'll see you in the next 7 years for the next.
Hope so.
Yeah, I was just going through the podcast. I was like, when did I talk to Robbie? I know I spoke to Robbie way back, and it was. I remember it being a great podcast because it was very direct, very practical, and you just fired a lot of tips, and we got a lot of feedback, good feedback from it afterwards. But I was like, wow, April 29th, 19.
Wow.
Um,
That's a long time ago. A lot has happened since then.
Yeah, it's a funny story. And we'll get into the martial arts stuff. But I just moved. Well, 3 years ago, I moved to the Sunshine Coast, and looking for schools, trying to enroll my daughter. And I'm at the school, and I'm like just the one dude standing there that I'm connect with and start talking to. And we start talking, and comes up what I do. And he's like, oh yeah, my brother runs a bunch of martial arts schools in Sydney. And he said, Robert Castellano. And I didn't click. I was like, Robert, Robbie.
Robbie, yeah. The martial
Yeah.
arts, it's always Robbie. Family's Robert, very formal. But
Yeah.
martial arts words, Robbie.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
small world. Small world.
funny to, yeah. And we've caught up for a coffee a couple of times, and I see he's doing a couple of cool things down in real estate. And
Yeah. He's going well.
so back to you, right? I mean, last time we spoke, business was already on fire for you. 4 locations, I believe, at the time. I mean, you've been running the martial arts business for a long time. But let's, I guess, just zoom back. I know a lot of people obviously didn't listen to the first episode, and I'll link to that in this episode. You can actually just go to martialartsmedia.com/76, the number of the episode. But yeah, just for those who haven't met you, just give us a brief who you are, background, all the good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm part of the IMC organisation. We have 7 schools across New South Wales. At the time I think we spoke, I was looking to open up my second school, which I did. And I ended up opening another one after that. So 3 schools all up. And I ended up selling one of them as well to my manager who was running it at the time. So she took over that with her husband. They're going really well. And since then I've opened up another school, and that's firing at the moment. My main school, which is in Preston's, Liverpool Way, it's at about the 500 mark now. And since last time we spoke, 7 years ago, I was a bit more hands-on in the business. Now I'm actually taking a step back. I mean, I'm only there 2-3 days a week, and I've sort of taken a step back and let my managers run it. And I'm sort of just semi-retired, living life, spending time with my kids, traveling the world. So that's where I'm at now, George.
You travel a lot.
I do.
I always see you on a lake or different country that's definitely not Australia.
Yeah. I love traveling, and like my wife's from overseas, so we just try to do as much as we can. There's only one life, so you got to do what you love.
100%. So what sets you apart then, right? Because I speak to martial arts school owners every day, and there's I mean, I guess like in everything, there's the 1% that operate at a different level. But if I think of the average martial arts school owner day to day, still living a great life, doing everything they want. I mean, there's no guess no remorse there or anything. Thriving in 250 students, living a great life. What do you do different? What sets you apart in a different way, in different thinking, I guess, when you look at, well, you've got multiple of those, and 300 is a small benchmark for you guys. Multiple schools thriving in multiple numbers that a lot of school owners can't fathom. What's the key difference there?
Well, I think it all comes down to what exactly is it that you want. I get a lot of martial artists and other people as well ask me, "Oh, Robbie, how do I do this?" I said, "Well, first of all, figure out what exactly it is that you want. So if you're happy working 4 days a week and want to take 3 days off, then do it. Okay, if you're happy earning $1,000 a week and you want more free time, then do it. If you want to earn $1 million a year and don't have any free time, then that's okay too. But first of all, figure out what you want. And that's what I did. My goal was to have a beautiful family and have a business that runs, and for me be able to travel around the world and do all the crazy things that I do. And that was my goal, is to build a team with a good, sufficient income for my lifestyle, of course. And then I just applied it. And that's where I'm at. I've got everything that I want right now. I'm so happy in life.
That's amazing. So we started obviously the big goal, like the big scary. What's it? Jim Collins, the big hairy audacious goal. BHAG is what he calls it. Big hairy audacious goal. Anyway, so big goal. Bring it down to operations. I guess before we get down to operations, what allows you to dream big? Because it's all good to say set the big goal and go for the big outcome of what you need. But I feel a lot of people just get stuck there. Like the belief of the business can't grow to that. Where do you change around that in the mindset?
You know, it's funny, George, because I mean, we're going to speak about soon. I've got an upcoming event, and I've advertised this to so many different martial arts business owners that I know personally. Some are friends, and I've pretty much put it on a platter for these guys to reach their goals, to succeed in their business. And more than half aren't even coming to the event. And they will give you every excuse underneath the sun. Why? But then they wonder why their business isn't growing. So to go back to the mindset, number one is you got to commit. Okay. Once you've got your goal, you got to go for it. You know what I mean? I love the quote. There's a quote that I always live. Those who want something will always find a way. Those who don't want anything will always find an excuse. And that's my favorite quote. And I live by that. And that's how you've got to find a way.
So in martial arts, and I'm asking from your insight because I deal with like martial arts school owners every day. We talk about marketing, we talk about business. And the big obstacles that we always get to is like, I think I was going through a bunch of our recordings and coaching calls, and the number one thing that came up was pricing. Interestingly enough, a few years back, the focus was always marketing and helping martial arts school owners with marketing until the one day we did really well at marketing. And I realized that I had a client that had 80 students and was still earning $2,000 a month. And I was like, whoa, hang on, what's going on here? And we unpacked that it was like $7 a class, and the cards were bouncing at $7 a class, and the whole positioning was wrong. And that day I decided, all right, well, before we run any ads, we're going to fix the pricing. And it's very interesting in that we've developed a great system where we can upgrade pricing. It's a 2-minute fix, but almost sometimes a 2-hour conversation because we got to install the beliefs and everything that go with that. So you spoke to a lot of school owners. You're running an epic event. You're handing it over on a platter. What do you think is the big thing that just holds people back, that, especially in the martial arts space, that they want the growth, but then they fight it, that it's almost not possible?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was actually talking to this with my wife the other day. I mean, I was pretty lucky because my instructor, Paul Zadro, he sort of did all that stuff before while I was still young. And so I had a good mentor. And any questions or any doubts that I had, he was always there to push me a little bit more. So I'm pretty lucky in that sense. But there's no reason why everyone else can't find a mentor of the same sort of caliber. I mean, there's plenty of great martial arts minds in this country, and you just got to commit, I think, I mean, even for yourself, you're doing a great service for the martial arts industry. I mean, there's a lot of guys that come to you as a mentor to help them. And I know some of these guys, and they're killing it. So I think they just got to commit and find a mentor to drive. So it's a bit more drive to push them to where they want to be. What do you think?
Yeah, I think about this a lot, to be honest.
I want to know your opinion, George.
Yeah, well, my opinion, I think a lot of us comes from, like you were saying, that you've got a great mentor, Paul Zado. If you can plug Paul Zado to get on the podcast, I would love to have him.
Yeah, I think you'd love it. I think he's waiting for your call, actually.
Oh, okay. I think I've prodded him a few times, but
Okay.
so this is the public prod. Yeah. So I think you hit the nail on the head there, that you had a mentor that had already achieved that, and so already had that vision, saw the obstacles, had walked the path, and had those answers. Where maybe people end up in a different path, that they had a master, or their mentor being their martial arts master, that always struggled, ran the school for their particular beliefs and reasons. Money was never the goal. The business was never the goal. And with that came like a model of beliefs that got passed on. And now somebody comes up through the system and they almost feel like they are going against the whole ethos of the whole system that they went through. So it's almost like the belief of McDojo and not being successful. It gets passed down the line, and the minute you're more successful than your master, it's a little frowned upon, right?
But as the master, wouldn't you want your student to be more successful than you? I would.
Do you think I'm wrong in that assessment? Do you think I got that assessment wrong? Or
No. I'm just saying for as a mindset, as an instructor, I always want my students to do better than me. That
100%.
means I've done my job correctly. I think it's just the way it comes down to the way of thinking.
So let's talk about that from your standpoint. So operational wise, right? How do you go about that differently then? Because if your thinking is on a different scale and you think, well, the end of mine is I'm going to work 2 to 3 days a week. I'm going to travel. So the martial arts business is not going to be centered around Robbie. It's going to be centered around the brand, the organization. How do you think operationally different to
Yeah, so
make that dream a reality?
I made the decision a couple of years ago which way I wanted to go here. Did I still want to be the face of my school, where I walked down the street in Liverpool, everyone knew who I was, the big face. But I made a decision that I wanted to step back a bit. I didn't want to be the center guy anymore. So I built a team to be the face of the school rather than just the one person. Before I made my manager full-time, I sat him down and I said, look, this is the job. This is the way I want to live my life. I'm only going to be here a couple of days a week. You're going to have bit more pull in the business. And in the end, I said, do you want that job? Because I don't want to hear complaints later on that I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. This is the job role. This is the way I want to live. This is it. And he said, yeah, for sure. And he's doing a fantastic job. And we're actually looking at another location for him to open up. Because there's got to be a goal in sight for them too, right? They're not just going to work their butt off forever for you. You've got to sort of give them something back. So we're in the process now of looking up another location.
Very cool. So that comes back down to your clarity, right? The clarity of where you're going is also the boundaries and the conditions of how this is going to work. So there's no animosity later of Robbie's at the beach again and I'm on the mats. So that was clear from day one, right?
Correct.
So what does that career path then look like for an instructor? They know they're working through the organization, but you're opening another location. Is that an ownership way, or is it more like a revenue goal that goes with for them, or how do you?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it last time I spoke on the podcast, and since then we've actually gone through the whole process. So basically, a manager will work for me for so many years. Once they're ready and they feel confident to open up their own location, I'll open the location for them. They'll work in that new location roughly about the 5 years, and then after years they can buy the business off me. So they've got the startup money from myself. I've taken the risk. So I win a little bit. I get a little bit of money and we expand our franchise. And then they also get a career life job or whatever path they want to take as well. And so it's a win-win situation.
Okay. And so you mentioned you just sold one?
Yeah. So we
sold
sold. So we had our location with Maggie. She was my manager for many years. So we opened up a location with her, and then her and her husband end up buying that location office a few years ago, and they're running it well. They got a life, they got a family now, so yeah, it's a career path for her as well. And she's still part of the organization. We still meet every Monday. Any help she needs, an instructor every now and then, we'll send one there. So it's always keep it in the IMC family.
Very cool. Shout out to Maggie. We are helping revive her Facebook ads at the moment.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Living the dream.
She is. She's trying.
Awesome. All right, cool. So, okay, so that's the structure. So what's then for the radar for you? Are you looking at just opening location to location? What is the criteria you work from to keep growing and scaling the organization?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm sort of semi-retired now. I've sort of made enough money to live comfortably. So I'll only open a location if I've got another team ready. I mean, there is other avenues besides martial arts where you can start putting your money. So once you start making money, if you want to make more money, you got to go to different avenues, for example, real estate or other ways. And I've actually got some really great speakers coming up to our live event next month that will speak more about that, who have done that. It's going to be really good
So
if
let's
you've got a little bit of money.
if you got a little bit of money. 100%. So so let's talk about that, right? Because we spoke a bit about mindset and the quickest fix I know of to fix your mindset is just be in a room where the mindset is at a higher level. And so you put together an event. I want to talk a bit about that because you've been to one of our events, the Partners Intensive that we run on the Sunshine Coast, and I know you travel a bit. And I know you go to a lot of events, and so even though, yep, you work in 2 to 3 days in the business, you are putting yourself in a room with other martial artists, with other people from other expertise, and you are learning and growing and elevating your mindset. So you're putting together a room where a different level of mindset will be prominent. And so I think for anybody that's have this weird feeling in the gut where they scared of setting the big goals, this would be the perfect place to really, if you really want to challenge yourself, to just show up and take that one step to actually see who is living the life that you want to live and make that possible. So before we get into all that, what prompted for you to run your own event?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, I travel around and I go to a lot of events. I still keep learning, even though I'm kicking bat. It doesn't mean I stop learning. You still got to keep up with the times. And I went to your event, and I absolutely loved your event. By the way, it was one of my favorite ones I went to. You had a lot of good speakers, a lot of good people there. And the way it was structured, it was on the beach, Sunshine Coast, which was awesome because it got to travel again. So yeah, and then I went to a few other events. I went to the US to a great event, and I just started thinking because there's so many events around the world, but in Australia we didn't really have that many. I mean, one maybe two a year, and it sort of just started getting a bit repetitive. The same speakers. So I wanted to create an event that didn't offend anyone, non-political, and just get some of the best martial arts business minds in Australia because we've got so many and they don't really speak at too many things. And I wanted to get them together, create an event for everybody that anyone could go to, whether it's just a normal instructor at a normal school or somewhere that's very successful in their business and they want to go to the next level. Yeah, so we've got that event coming up next month in Sydney, in Cronulla, on the beach, just like yours.
On the beach. It looks like a pretty spectacular location. I've never been to that part of Sydney, so I'm really excited. I'll also be talking about AI and a couple of things that we've been doing. I guess AI integration of I went on this little quest a couple of months ago and we looked through all our coaching recordings that we've done over the last 10 years and we put it through an AI system to filter the top questions and everything that's come through. And so it's been interesting to loop back and get a lot of insights from that. But not what I'll be talking about. We're really talking about what happens after you get the leads. That'll be a big topic, automation with AI. I know it can be some people feel a bit weird about it. It can be probably framed in the wrong way if you have AI and machines and think machines going to take over your conversations. But I think it's a really great way to add the extra touch points and help build the relationships with people without you being present, which makes the human touch way more powerful on the back end and really lifts your conversions.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hear you speak, George. And even a couple of people, when I advertised that you'll be speaking at our event, they were really happy because they were really interested to hear what you had to say, and you've had
That's
heaps
cool.
of success with the other people. So I'm really looking forward to it as well.
That's cool. So what could we expect on the weekend, Robbie?
So like I said, it's in a great location in Cronulla. It's going to be on the 20th and 1st of March. We've got some speakers coming from all over the country. It's going to be at Club Cronulla. It's going to be capped at about 50 tickets. There's about 10 tickets left. So if anyone does want it, they better be quick. It's going to be a great small event with some of the best martial arts business speakers in the country. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Very cool. I'll yeah, really looking forward to it. And thanks for putting it on. Thanks for the invite. I looked at the names and I saw the list of people you had speakers, and I was truly honored to be amongst really good business minds,
Yeah, it's
great
a big
martial artists.
lineup. It's a big lineup.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to listening to a lot of the speakers there that are, is like you said, it's not people that you see on a stage every day. So they're not people that are, the business is to speak and the business is the martial arts,
Yeah.
and they're really good at the martial arts and they don't really speak about it. So getting that level of insight is it's the
Yeah.
room to be in.
I mean, I even got Peter Graham, he's like one of the only Australians to win 5 world titles in boxing, karate, MMA, and kickboxing. And he's going to be speaking as well. He's going to be there taking photos with everybody. So, I mean, I'm very grateful that, including yourself, that all these speakers have volunteered to come and speak at this event. So I'm very honored.
So if anybody wants to attend, where can they go?
Yeah, so if they can follow us on the Instagram or Facebook page, Level Up Business Summit, post it on the for you to see. And yeah, you can buy tickets online or send me a message direct or message you. You can forward them to me. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Robbie Castellano. So yeah, you can get it. There's only 10 tickets left though. It's nearly done. It's pretty much done.
10 tickets. I will leave a link on the show notes for this episode. So if you go to martialartsmedia.com/169, the number's 169, there'll be details there for you. So I'll leave the link and you can just go from there and you can grab a ticket. Really looking forward to it. I've also decided to put a couple of events back on the Sunshine Coast. So Robbie, if
Are
you
you?
are
Excellent.
keen to travel,
When's it happening?
I'm confirming 3 dates actually. So I typically run the one event per year. So we did Sydney last year. The previous couple of years was being Sunshine Coast. I've got dates I'm going to have to confirm them in a new video, but
Okay.
I've got dates for May, August, and November. November, I think it's 13th and 14th. So going to do it a bit different. I'm doing 3 in the sense of I'm going to probably more boardroom style, get 10 to 12 people to really get a great topic, couple of things that to work on, and get a closer room to get people to work on your business
Awesome.
in a small environment. So
Yeah. Well, I loved your event last time, George. So I'll be definitely going to yours again.
awesome. Cool, Robbie. Well, thanks so much for jumping on.
Thank you very much for having me, George. Always a pleasure.
I will see you next month.
Thank you very much, sir.